Welcome to Ormskirk in Lancashire. I think we're about 15 miles or so north of Liverpool, and this has been a very vibrant market town for a long time. I believe Edward I granted its charter, so that's the 13th century, and it's thrived ever since, really. Has a reputation for being very famous for gingerbread, which I may try and taste later on, who knows. But I've come out this morning with a new camera to me, and all I'm going to say is that I've got lenses equivalent from 28 to 300mm. So I'm hoping that sort of focal length range is going to give me enough variety. Forgive the traffic noise, but we're right by the main road here, and I brought you up here to show you the parish church of Ormskirk. It is one of only 3 in the country that has both a steeple and a tower. Now the steeple is, I think, 18th century and repaired once it had partially blown down at some stage. That might account for the difference in colour of the stonework on it. But the tower goes back to the 16th century, 1538 I believe, and it was built to house the bells from the defunct ruins of Burscough Priory after Henry VIII decided they all had to go. And unusually both the tower and the steeple are at the same end of the church. Looks a bit weird. Anyway, we're going to go and take a look. There's a couple of interesting things I want to show you. Maybe I should tease you just a little bit more, because you may or may not realise I don't have a camera holder with me. I just have my ordinary sort of man bag, if you like. And my camera gear is in there. And at the moment the camera's in my fleece pocket. Hopefully I've got you wondering what the heck I'm shooting today. This gorgeous churchyard, graveyard here. Very large. Lots and lots of headstones. Bluebell season, always good. Cliched, but you've just got to take shots of bluebells, haven't you? And I'm loving this camera. So far so good. It's the first time I've used it. I literally picked it up yesterday. Possibly a bit silly. I'm using it on full manual at the moment. Well, autofocus, but manual exposure. And so far so good. Right, let's head back to the church and show you an unusual architectural feature apart from the spire and the tower. So from up here on the actual sort of sandstone, limestone outcrop that the church is built on, I want to show you a feature which I've never seen outside an English church anywhere. If any of you watching this know of a similar thing, please let me know in the comments. I find it amusing and very unusual. It's in the shade at the moment, but I'll take you over here and show you what I'm talking about. Hopefully, exposure-wise, you can see it behind me there. It's a Victorian cast iron gents urinal outside the main entrance to the church. Is it just me? Or does anybody else find that slightly odd and amusing? Manufactured up in Glasgow. Obviously no longer serving its original purpose. Got to be worth a photo or two, I think. Well, from the relative quiet of the garden in front of the church and church hall, I've decided I just can't keep this secret any longer. I've got to tell you what it is that I've got. I picked it up yesterday, and it's a camera which I think has been largely forgotten and definitely overlooked. And it's a beautiful little package bridge camera. Yeah, I'd call it a bridge camera, but it looks just like a mirrorless, conventional mirrorless, and it's this. It's the Olympus Stylus 1S. Now the Stylus 1 dates from 2013, so that's over 10 years old. The 1S, they updated it cosmetically in 2015, so it's not quite as old. I think specification-wise it's identical. And this is it. It has a BSI CMOS sensor, 12 megapixels. It is an 1 7/8 size sensor, something like 5 by 5.5 by 7.5 mil, something like that. And the 28 to 300 equivalent lens is housed behind the automated lens cover, lens cap. And it's a great little camera. I'll just briefly show you. It has the usual, just exactly what you would expect, tilting LCD screen, and that is a touch screen, just so that you are aware of it. You can't do everything by touching the LCD screen on the back. It has a EVF as well, always a bonus, and a full manual control, as well as a couple of custom modes. 2 function settings, function 1 up here on the back of the camera, function 2 down here on the front. Sweet little camera, I have to be honest with you. I'm curious to see how it performs. These small sensor cameras get a bad press, don't they? That's not to say that you should ever write them off. For those of you that have stayed with me for quite some time, you may remember I was using a Ricoh GR1 digital. Yeah, GR1 I think, the small sensor version. What a cracking little camera that was. I'm hoping this one performs equally as well. The lens is 28 to 300 equivalent, and it's 2.8 throughout the range, which is amazing really in something this size. Battery life, I suspect, is going to be a little bit iffy. Only has a small battery, and it's even smaller than the one in my EM1 Mark 1. Zooming controls, it has 2. The usual rocker switch alongside the release mechanism. That's as far as the lens extends. And then it has a second zooming ring here on the left hand side of the mount, which you can use for video work. The video is 1080p, and if you do decide to do video with this, you can set this particular rocker switch so that you've got a slower zoom than you get with the conventional one on the shutter release dial. And in fact, you can also program it to be a stepped zoom, so you can jump from one setting to another. In other words, you can pre-program it so that it will shoot at 28, 35, 50, and I guess 200-300, that kind of thing. Which they've thought of an awful lot, Olympus, with this camera. Really well made. Solid metal construction, single card slot, SD card slot in the base. It's never worried me, particularly with cameras like this. Just such a wonderfully pocketable camera with a massive zoom range. Built-in flash. Yeah, it has built-in flash. Not that I would hardly ever use it. I mean, having said that, maybe with some close focus macro work it might come in handy, you never know. Shoots in RAW as well as JPEG, and of course you've got the wonderful Olympus art filters as well to choose from. I can't wait to see what it performs like. Will I be keeping it? The answer is probably no, mainly because I have too many damn cameras. I'm not saying definitely it's got to go, but I would rather somebody, I think, have this and make use of it, or better use of it than I am going to. You know, sometimes, as you know, as you realise, those of you that follow the channel, I sometimes use an ultra-wide lens, much wider than the 28 on this. And of course, with the Lumix 100 to 300 lens that I've got for the EM1, then that gives me a 600mm equivalent range. So I can outstretch this with the existing lenses that I already own. It's just that this is so wonderfully portable and pocketable. Just a cracking little camera. Anyway, that's enough waffle from the churchyard. I'm going to do a couple of more shots. We've got Laburnum out and things like that. And then from here, we're going to take a walk into Ormskirk town centre, because it's full of little ginnels and alleyways and cut-throughs. I think you'll enjoy it, and I know that photographically I will love it. Love street markets, so we've timed it right today. I think it's a 2-day street market here in Ormskirk. Might be wrong on that one, but I think it's a 2-day event, twice weekly. That's better. And I am just blasting away with this little stylus. Aperture priority. Not even looking through the viewfinder, I've got it on around about 28mm, I think. And we'll see what we can get. Probably 90% of it will be wasted, but you never know.
Oh, you're going through that.
It's a beautiful morning today as well. Forecast to be around 20 degrees. photo, young man. Thank you very much. You're a hero. Wonderful. Wow. Well, from the street market, we're now heading up Church Walks. Sort of place that Ormskirk is well known for, complete with piped music. Anyway, we'll go and see what we can see.
Yeah. I always run something like that way. I know you do. Because it's what I know. Yeah. I always run something like that way.
Mystic Muse. Always reminds me of Diagon Alley in Harry Potter. I came here for a recce a couple of weeks ago, so depending on how well this little camera does, I may well splice in some of the images taken on the EM1. We'll see. I'm hoping I don't need to do that. Probably take a lot more tinkering in post, but we will see. Challenging lighting conditions for these small sensor cameras. Underexpose. Protect the highlights wherever possible. This is the old magistrates' court on one of the main roads into and out of Ormskirk. Currently abandoned, but I believe planning is in the pipeline to convert it into an apart hotel. One of these chic establishments, but there's a couple of interesting things that I want to show you. So that's the front elevation of the building, and as we just come round the corner, I've never ever seen one of these before. Standard measures of distance at 62 degrees Fahrenheit, and you can see it's graded or marked off in 1, 2 and 3 foot lengths. As I say, never ever seen one of those before, and manufactured in accordance with the Standards Department Board of Trade, 1879. Amazing. And of course, with this being a magistrate's court, at one stage they would have had to have a constable on duty. That's been an enjoyable couple of hours around Ormskirk. What I think I'm going to do now is make my way back to the railway station. Maybe grab a bite to eat on the way. And then we'll have a look at what these images look like. You will see them before I do. Well, I'll see them on the screen, that's about it. So let's just say, fingers crossed they're okay. Well, I hope you enjoyed that little trip out to Ormskirk. It is a great market town to go and visit. There's a lot of photographic opportunities there. And it's been a couple of days since I returned from that particular outing, and it's given me time to think about what I'm going to do with the Stylus 1S, and I am going to sell it. I like it from the build quality aspect. I'm a bit of an Olympus fanboy, as you may already have gathered, but that's really a secondary thing. Build quality is fantastic. The zoom range is very good. 28 to 300 equivalent is not bad by anybody's standards, and the fact that it's 2.8 throughout the range is really quite astonishing. The thing is that with my existing EM1 Mark II and indeed Mark I and the Pen F, I have got, and I need from time to time, a wider range of lenses than this one will provide. And so that's really the main reason why it's going to go. But seriously, I think it's a wonderful little camera for somebody who wants something more capable in many respects than modern mobile phone cameras. Maybe some of you might disagree with that, but certainly the zoom facility is very, very useful on this, as is the touchscreen, tilting screen, viewfinder, all those things add up to a really competent little camera, and I love it. So it's going to be sold. It's an absolute minter. I don't believe it was hardly ever used before I got my hands on it. It's boxed, it's got the instructions, it's got a case, and it's got straps, everything that you require. It's ready to go, and go it will. Anyway, for the time being, that is all I've got to tell you about this. And in a forthcoming video, you've probably already seen the one where I compare the Helios 44 to a Pentacon. Well, along with those two lenses, I've also acquired a 30mm Pentacon, which is a much more useful focal length for me with micro four thirds. So there's going to be some test shots and a review of that coming up quite soon. Bye for now.